Warm greetings from TNV Academy. Today in this session, we are going to discuss about environmental impact assessment. However, before we start, let me tell you about the key takeaways of this session. At the end of this session, you will be able to understand what is environmental impact assessment, history of environmental impact assessment in India, the process involved in environmental impact assessment, stakeholders in environmental impact assessment, importance of environmental impact assessment, and shortcoming of environmental impact assessment. So let's begin our discussion and talk about what is environmental impact assessment. Environmental impact assessment or EIA can be defined as the study to predict the effect of a proposed activity and project on the environment. A decision-making tool, EIA compares various alternatives for a project and seeks to identify the one which represents the best combination of economic and environmental cost and benefits. EIA systematically examines both beneficial and adverse consequences of the project and ensures that these effects are taken into account during the project design. It helps to identify possible environmental effects of the proposed project, proposes measures to mitigate adverse effects and predicts whether there will be significant adverse environmental effects even after the mitigation is implemented. By considering the environmental effects of the project and their mitigation early in the project planning cycle, environmental assessment has many benefits such as projection of environment, optimum utilization of resources, and saving of time and cost of the project. Properly conducted EIA also lessens conflicts by promoting community participation, informing decision makers, and helping lead the base for environmentally sound projects. Benefits of integrating EIA have been observed in all stages of a project, from exploration and planning through construction, operations, decommissioning, and beyond site closure. So we will now discuss about the history of environment impact assessment in India. The Indian experience with environmental impact assessment began over 20 years back. It started in 1976 to 77 when the Planning Commission asked the Department of Science and Technology to examine the river valley projects from an environmental engine. Till 1994, environmental clearance from the central government was an administrative decision and lacked legislative support. On 27 Jan 1994, the Union Ministry of Environment and Forest under the Environmental Protection Act 1986 promulgated an EIA notification making environmental clearance EC mandatory for expansion or modernization of any activity or for setting up new projects listed in Schedule 1 of the notification. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change MOEFCC notified the new EIA legislation in September 2006. The notification makes it mandatory for various projects such as mining, thermal power plants, river valley, infrastructure road, highway, ports, harbors and airports and industries including very small electroplating or foundry units to get environment clearance. However, unlike the EIA notification of 1994, the new legislation has put the onus of clearing projects on the state government depending on the size and capacity of the project. Now we will move forward and discuss about the process involved in environment impact assessment. EIA involves the steps mentioned below. However, the EIA process is cyclical with interaction between various steps. Screening. The project plan is screened for scale of investment, location and type of development, and if the project needs statutory clearance. Scoping. The project's potential impacts, zone of impacts, mitigation possibilities and needs for monitoring. Collection of baseline data. Baseline data is the environmental status of a study area. Impact prediction. Positive and negative, reversible and irreversible and temporary and permanent impacts need to be predicted, which presupposes a good understanding of the project by the assessment agency. Mitigation measures and EIA report. The EIA report should include the actions and steps for preventing, minimizing or bypassing the impacts or else the levels of compensation for probable environmental damage or loss. Public hearing. On completion of the EIA report, public and environmental groups living close to project site may be informed and consulted. Decision making. Impact Assessment Authority along with the experts consult the project in charge along the consultant to take the final decision, keeping in mind EIA and EMP Environment Management Plan. Monitoring and implementation of Environmental Management Plan. The various phases of implementation of the project are monitored. Assessment of alternatives, delineation of mitigation measures and environmental impact assessment report. For every project, possible alternative should be identified and environmental attributes compared. Alternatives should cover both project location and process technologies. Once alternatives have been reviewed, a mitigation plan should be drawn up for the selected option and it's supplemented with an environmental management plan (EMP) to guide the proponent towards environmental improvements. Risk assessment. Inventory analysis and hazard probability and index also form a part of EIA procedures. Now we will talk about the stakeholders in environmental impact assessment. The various stakeholders in EIA are as follows. Those who proposes the project, the environmental consultant who prepare EIA on behalf of project proponent, Pollution Control Board, state of national, public has the right to express their opinion, the Impact Assessment Agency, regional center of the Ministry of Environment. We will now move ahead and talk about the importance of the environment impact assessment. The various importance of EIA are as follows. EIA links environment with development for environmentally safe and sustainable development. EIA enables the decision makers to analyze the effect of developmental activities on the environment well before the developmental project is implemented. EIA encourages the adaptation of mitigation strategies in the developmental plan. EIA makes sure that the developmental plan is environmentally sound and within the limits of the capacity of assimilation and regeneration of the ecosystem. And finally, let's discuss about the shortcomings of environmental impact assessment. As there are advantages of EIA, there are a few shortcomings as well, which are applicability. There are several projects with significant environmental impacts that are exempted from the notification either because they are not listed in schedule or their invests are less than what is provided for in the notification. Composition of expert committees and standards. It has been found that the team formed for conducting EIA studies is lacking the expertise in various fields such as environmentalists, wildlife experts, anthropologists and social scientists. Public hearing. Public comments are not considered at an early stage, which often leads to conflict at later stage of project clearance. A number of projects with significant environmental and social impacts have been excluded from the mandatory public hearing process. The data collectors do not pay respect to the indigenous knowledge of local people. Quality of EIA. One of the biggest concerns with the environmental clearance process is related to the quality of EIA report that are being carried out. Lack of credibility. There are so many cases of fraudulent EIA studies where erroneous data has been used, same facts used for two totally different places, etc. Often and more so for strategic industries such as nuclear energy projects, the EMP are kept confidential for political and administrative reasons. Details regarding the effectiveness and implementation of mitigation measures are often not provided. Emergency preparedness plans are not discussed in sufficient details and the information not disseminated to the communities. So we have now come to the conclusion of this session. In case you have any queries regarding the topic which we discussed today, then please share them in the comment section of the video and we will be really happy answering them. Till we meet next, is best wishes from TNV Academy. Thank you.